Connect the dots. The above photo is of Gail with Meatball. She was one of the original zebras. He won her in a contest. This is true. When Meatball Fulton was a DJ at CKGM FM, a rock station in Montreal, later named CHOM, besides being on the air, he wrote and produced their radio commercials. When the film Woodstock was about to be released in early 1970, to promote the film, he was asked to design a contest. A movie theater in Montreal was offering free tickets. In fact, the station would be giving away tickets for the entire theater on opening night. The contest. Fulton designed a contest that had no correct answer. He called it Connect the Dots. Several times a day, the station would play a minute of sound. Every day was different. It would start with an announcer saying, "Connect the dots." And then you'd hear birds or a brook or water lapping, crows calling, frogs chirping, sheep baaing, dogs barking in the distance, and so on. These were sound environments Fulton had recorded. Mixed within the sounds was a voice saying, "Dot, dot, 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 dot." And that was the contest. Connect the dots and send in your answer. He had no idea what would happen, but he did know the station's listeners were young, and he suspected they had some pretty wild imaginations. Plus, CKGM was the only rock station in Montreal. They sent in poems, stories, drawings, paintings, carvings, paper sculptures, things they made of cloth, sticks, string, shells, feathers. It was amazing to see how these young listeners knew the answer to connect the dots. And then, the disaster. The station's program director, Mitchell, kept all the contest mail in a tall wastebasket on his desk. It was filled to the top. One night, the cleaning lady came in, saw it needed to be emptied, and did. The next morning, Mitchell was in shock. When he told Meatball, he started laughing. Of course, he may have been hysterical. It was only days before the grand opening of Woodstock, and they had no record of who had sent in answers, so there was no one to send tickets to. But Mitchell came up with a solution. Go on the air and tell people if you sent in an answer, you won. Now come down to the station and pick up your ticket. The next day, after Fulton finished his show and was about to leave, he saw a young woman standing in the hallway looking lost. He asked if he could help. She said she'd come to pick up her ticket. He said, "How did you get in here?" There was security. You had to go through reception. All station personnel had IDs. You couldn't just walk into the studio. But Gail had. She saw a side door. It was always locked, but this time it wasn't, and here she was. Fulton led her back down to reception. She got her ticket, and he said, "I was about to have lunch. Care to join me?" She said, "Okay." They were married later that year. They stayed married until the early 80s. And that is how he won a wife in a contest. Strange how these things can happen. By the way, the opening night of Woodstock was a success. Since the movie theater was packed with young listeners, all rock and rollers, it turned into a big party. Fulton still visits Montreal. They have some great restaurants and cafes. He's fond of that city and its memories.